Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jenny Bloom, and I am the founder of the Office of Appreciative Education at Florida Atlantic University, and welcome. We're delighted to have you join us for this webinar today. Just a few kind of notes to get us started. One, a reminder, if you could please put your microphone on mute, that would be great. When we have this many people, any sound gets amplified. So if you could put your microphone on mute, that would be terrific. All of us here at the Office of Appreciative Education are wishing all of you and your families good health, and it's a challenging time for all of us. And I know I'm trying to use a whole slew of good strategies to do good work in this time, trying to, as my colleague Brian Hirsch would say, we're trying to thrive and not just survive during this time. So one of the best strategies in the positive psychology literature in terms of increasing our own happiness is gratitude. And so I want to start with gratitude today. First, I want to start with thanking Amanda Cuevas for helping to organize this, as well as our colleague Brian Hirsch and our entire team of interns. We have a small but mighty group of both undergraduate and graduate interns that have been working fast and furious throughout this epidemic to help us keep moving things forward and trying to serve the needs of our people who have been so loyal to us in terms of supporting appreciative advising initiatives. And then the next person that I have to thank is our speaker today, along with a couple of his colleagues. And the speaker today is a longtime friend of mine, Rob Friedhoff, who I first met at a long time ago, unfortunately, a really long time ago, at a NACADA event in, I think it was in Michigan. And when I was at the University of Illinois and he was at Grand Valley State University, and Rob made one of those classic errors when he came to the very first Appreciative Advising Institute. And that error was, hey, Jenny, if you need anything, if you need help on anything, let me know. And I was like, yes, I need your help. And I immediately put him into action, and he's just done tremendous things for appreciative advising. He's been on the faculty for the Appreciative Advising Institute. He was the mastermind behind getting the Appreciative Advising online course established, and for that I am forever grateful, because that is not in my was not in my skill set at the time, but Rob was able to get that created, and just has continued to be a proponent, but also more importantly a role model of what it means to be both an appreciative advisor as well as an appreciative administrator. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my good friend, Rob Friedhoff. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you, Jenny and team. Thank you for the kind words there, Jenny. Yes, for those of you that don't understand the term voluntold, I learned that at the first Appreciative Advising Institute. I walked up to Jenny after the first session. I said, this is fantastic information. Any chance you've thought of putting it online? I barely got that online part out, and she spun around and said to Aaron Conkle, hey, Aaron, Rob's going to do the online course for us. And I went, what? Sure, I would love to. And that began a relationship that has turned into a great friendship. And my boys have been able to go down and see their plane when they had it, at least in South Carolina, and down to visits in Florida. So always good to reconnect with the Appreciative Education family. Also, I saw the list of folks that are here today. A lot of colleagues popping in from University of Michigan or Dearborn, or people who've been in courses with us or at the Institute. So it's always so great to be here with our Appreciative Education family. I know it's a little bit of a challenging time, but truthfully, I could think of no better place to be than on this webinar with you all, learning a little bit about what we're doing here at VSU and Concierge Coaching. And I'm going to take a quick second here. I want to share my screen and introduce two other people to you. And so the gentleman in the middle is my boss, Dr. Rodney Carr. He's the VP of Student Success. He also, besides being my boss, is a friend and a mentor. I came down to VSU 2 years ago to redo advising on our campus under his leadership, and we've had a great 2 years. He is a very staunch student supporter. He is very quick. His timelines are a little bit fast, and so it's kept me on my toes. We built this from thought of concierge coaching to what you're going to see here to actual launching. It was about 7 days with the weekend included. And so we took it from idea to launch literally in 7 days. Also on this call, joining us from our human resources, employee organizational development area is a friend and colleague of mine as well, Ashley Cooper. She has been absolutely instrumental in helping us get the BlazeView portion up, our learning management system up. And she's going to cover in this webinar a little bit about what we did in BlazeView, how we got resources around, and what resources are there for our concierge coaches. Dr. Carr is going to spend a little bit more time kind of talking from the administrative level, how we got some buy-in to do this, how we went across campus, across all those different silos, and made sure that we had this launch. And just so you know, from a numbers perspective, we have about 290 concierge coaches, and they are supporting 6,183 students, I think is the actual number right now as of to date. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Carr for him to do an introduction on how we got this concierge coaching idea and what it is, the expectations we've set. And then I'll see you all again when we start doing a conversation on the portal, which is where the concierge coaches can actually input information related to what they're finding out from concierge coaches. All right, Dr. Carr, over to you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope we're probably a lot like Jenny in South Florida. It's a beautiful day here in Georgia. It's kind of how we recruited Rob. We promised it'd be 70 and sunny every single day. And it is true. In South Georgia, it's 70 and sunny every day. Sometimes that 70-degree time is about 4 a.m. And it kind of goes up from there. But we don't have snow in December. Rob and I played golf in December. So, and Jenny, I thank you for helping Rob get used to very fast timelines. That has helped me a lot. So thank you for leading in with that part. So kind of how we ended up getting here, the University System of Georgia is 26 of the state colleges all the way up through the research universities in the state of Georgia. We are all in one inclusive system. Our decision was handed down to us from that university system office out of Atlanta that said all 26 institutions are about to go 100% online. We had 1 day lead-in of knowing when that was going to happen. I immediately called institutional research and I said, I need to know how many 100% face-to-face students we have. So we had 4,620 students that were 100% face-to-face. They took no online classes whatsoever. We had 2,208 students that only had some online classes, but primarily all face-to-face classes. Our institution's a little over 11,200 students. So we were looking at about 60% of our population that we're about to flip their world upside down. I happen to be the proud parent of 2 college graduates and a college freshman. So as a dad, I'm thinking of my 19-year-old son who is kind of a little bit on the lazy side. I know none of your children are like that. He just happens to be. So he wears slides all the time because he doesn't even want to tie his own shoes. So I'm thinking about how is my 19-year-old son who loves face-to-face classes going to adjust to online classes. The amazing part about Valdosta State University is we have an amazing group of people. Rob is one of my, he's actually my number 2 guy. And I say that because I lean on him a lot. And so we were sitting around going, what can we do? We're about to flip their world upside down. What is it that we can do? And we were walking to lunch one day and we heard a group of students in front of us that were in an absolute state of panic. I'm terrified. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm just going to have to drop out. All of those things were circling around. And so we sat at the lunch table that day and said, we've got to figure something out. So we thought about the concierge type coach where I related back to Grey's Anatomy. I also found out Rob is not a Grey's Anatomy fan. He does not know what being someone's person is, but he did watch Shawshank Redemption, so I related back to Red and Shawshank Redemption. So truly, that's what we wanted to design this model around. We wanted that concierge coach to be that student's person. And truly, I think that day we thought, well, maybe if we can get 100 people around the university to connect to this group, it's going to be an amazing thing. And you just heard Rob say we had a little over 290 that are doing it now. And so it's just been, we sat there and we thought about it and said, all right, well, we've got to teach them how to do it. So how are we going to do that? And then we truly, in a couple of, Rob says it was 7 days. I think it was about a month, slammed into 7 days because it felt like those days were a little long. But brought in Ashley, and she did a great job of putting it all together. So really and truly what we wanted to do, and we told our concierge coaches this, our students are scared to death about doing this. We want you to reach out to them, and Rob's famous words of, we need you to disarm them very quickly, and then we need you to help us to discover what all some of the issues around that are. And so we'll talk about it during the question and answer time about our lessons that we've learned in the amazing 10 days that this has actually been going on. And so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I can tell you from our cabinet is there's 8 of us. There's 5 vice presidents on our executive cabinet. And when we sat around and started talking about this, every single one of them looked at me and said, do you think it's going to work? And our president, who is an amazing student leader, said it has to work for our students. And so it truly started from his office and ran all the way through our entire university. So thank you for letting me be a part of this today, and I hope that we can help some of your places, help all of our students across the globe that are just getting flipped upside down, that we can help them get it.
Hey, Rodney, before you sign off, or before we move on to the next part, will you talk a little bit about the expectation for this group, and then also a little bit about what they don't have to do?
All right, so that became some of the quick feedback of, well, they're going to be terrified. So we told them very quickly up front, you don't have to be the financial aid person. You don't need to know the entire manual that's about that thick. You don't have to be the registrar's office. You don't have to be the academic advisor. You don't have to be any of those things. We just need you to be their biggest fan and their biggest coach. And what we want you to do is be the conduit of information that when the student says, one of the main concerns we've had pop up, well, I'm in a physics class and I don't know what my lab is going to look like and I'm terrified. Well, immediately that coach reaches out to the advisor and to the instructor and everybody else, and then also connects them straight to academic support and everybody else, and then reaches back out to them. And that's kind of the expectation that we said they're going to reach out at least once a week and talk to everybody that's on their list. Each and every student, they have to talk to them at least once a week and just be a resource and follow up. And so that was kind of the expectation that we set out very early, that you were going to at least have bare minimum contact of once a week. And if you call them, because on occasion, some students will change their cell phone numbers. So if you reach out to them and you're not getting it by the number, we need that in the note system. So then we can start trying to figure out how we can get in touch with them and how we can get a better form of contact with them and do that.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that extra information. Just a request from the Appreciative team. They are asking if you have questions, go ahead and throw those into the chat area. We've got some folks who are monitoring the chat and they'll kind of queue questions up for us at the end of this. So send them in now, and if they need to, they can ask questions kind of like I just did to Dr. Carr. But most of those we'll probably take at the end. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the PowerPoint again. And share a little bit of behind the scenes. And so you'll see here a little bit of an overview on our coaching portal. And so one of the things that we were fortunate to already have in our back pocket, and I say fortunate because I really think this was a huge reason we were able to get up and moving so quickly, is we have a homegrown system for academic advisors to put in information related to what courses they have access to a portal for their students assigned to them. And so what we did when the concierge coaching idea came up was went directly over to Keisha, who is our person in IT, who's phenomenal, and said, hey, Keisha, we're thinking about doing this concierge coaching thing, and we need some place for the coaches to be able to go in and access the students we assign to them. We were on a phone call. I think it was a Wednesday, and we kind of walked through what we would need and what it would look like. And I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday. And Dr. Carr said to her, "So when do you think you might be able to get it to me by?" And she goes, "Well, what do you think you might need it? When are you looking for it?" And he said Friday, and she let out a huge sigh because she was afraid he was going to ask for it by the end of the day. So she got a little bit of a breather on that one and delivered this to us in about a day and a half. And so what you'll see right now is I have this in as a PowerPoint. I wanted to do it live, but we've got too much information in here that is data that needs to stay safe. But our concierge coaches were shared a link after they went through training, and it was a link to this, what we now call Concierge Portal. When they log into the Concierge Portal, you can see there are some helpful links and some little instructions that are there. This is the way that our concierge coaches get access to their students. So you can see on this screen, and again, your screens aren't blurry. I just fuzzed out all the information that was in here that was needing to be kept safe. But you can see the space that they come into. And so when they come in, they have a risk level on the student. They have the notes exist column, information related to our VSU student ID, the name that the student has, VSU email. We do have a sports column. Just an FYI for those of you that have athletic programs, what we decided to do, all of our sports, our athletes who are in sport actually were assigned over to the coaches because all of the coaches have a decent amount of time on their hand. So our athletic staff handled the athletes and then also took about anywhere from 5 to 15 additional students per coach. So that's been really helpful. In here, we did decide to put the advisor name and the advisor email. So let's say, for example, Ashley is the student that I'm working with. When the concierge is in here, they can see the advisor name and they can see the advisor email. One of the things we're really doing is making sure we're funneling as much as possible to that advising team. And then you'll also see permanent phone number and cell phone number. The reality for us, and Dr. Carr mentioned this before, is I think students just for fun change phone numbers. And so sometimes those phone numbers are out of date and aren't necessarily working for us. So we're using that VSU email because we do know that is accurate. And when we have tried a permanent phone, when we've tried a cell phone and we move to email, we're asking if when they respond, if they can give us an updated piece of phone number for them so we can upload our system. The other part is a notes piece. You'll see that on the far right. This is the opportunity for the concierge coach to go in and write a note and make sure they can kind of keep track of what it is that they have stated. So if you look on the third row, you'll see medium and then a blank space. That person hasn't had any note entered in yet. If you look at the top two rows here, you'll see a green check mark. If I were to click on that check mark, I would actually be able to see the saved note from before. And I believe, yeah, there it is. So if I click on that note exists, it'll pull up and it'll tell me when that note was taken, the student's ID and the name, and then the note that I wrote in. Again, it was really important for us to talk to our concierge coaches and share with them that expectation because there was some concern about, oh my God, how am I going to know all of this stuff that I need to know, and say, all right, you're not the faculty or an advisor or a counselor or anything like that. Your goal is really to figure out what the student needs and then connect that resource to them. So for example, in this one, I believed I mentioned it was a concern with a physics course and a concern with housing. So if I was the student or if I was a concierge coach, once I'm done having that conversation with the student, I'm going to send an email to housing and say, hey, I was just talking with Ashley. She had a concern about housing. Here's the phone number I reached her at, and here's her email address. Same thing on the advising or on the tutoring front. Sorry, on the tutoring front. If somebody were to say, I'm really concerned about physics. I was using the in-person tutoring lab 5 days a week, and now I have no idea what I'm going to be doing to do it online. We'll say, hey, you know what? We're going online with tutoring, but I'm going to have somebody from Academic Support Center reach out to you, and they're going to have that connection and that point together. What we've asked the concierge coaches to do then is, let's say, for example, this conversation happened on Monday, and then I got in touch with those VSU resources Monday afternoon. I might call back on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning and just say, hey, this is Rob. I'm your concierge coach here at VSU. Just touching base again. When we chatted on Monday, you mentioned that you had some concerns on tutoring and had some concerns on housing. After our call, I reached out to those office. I just want to make sure they've reached out to you and everything's going okay. And hopefully the answer is yes, I've heard from them. I'm feeling a lot better. But it may be that they haven't. And in that case, the concierge can say, I'll be happy to reconnect and make sure they reach out to you. And it's also a good opportunity for us to say to the group, what other concerns do you have? Has anything else come up since we spoke on Monday? So again, as this changes, where we are on a Monday versus where we're at on a Friday can be very different. And so it's just that opportunity for that concierge coach to continue to disarm, continue to discover. And we're seeing a lot of success with that with our conversation so far. I do want to show a little bit behind, and I'm not going to get into the actual reports, but I do want to let you know the way that this was built out. I have the ability as an admin to go in and pull reports. So if I wanted to go look for a student, I can go to the student and pull any outreach that has been done for that particular student. Also, if I wanted to go and look by the concierge coach, I can go filter by concierge coach and see what contacts and information and notes that concierge coach has put in. Also, because advising is one of my areas, the academic advising team was interested in having access to the coaching notes that were made. And so what happens is when a concierge coach puts a note into this system, it becomes available inside of our academic advising portal, and our advisors are able to look at any conversations or outreach that have occurred from the concierge coach. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move this over to Ashley. She's going to walk you through Blaze View. I've seen a couple chats come in, so before I fully turn it, I'm going to take a quick look and see if any of those were for me that needed to be addressed immediately. We'll answer those ones that they don't look time sensitive. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Ashley to walk us through Blaze View and what that looks like.
Good afternoon, y'all. And just like they said, I'm Ashley Cooper, and more specifically, I'm on the training and development side of HR. I like to joke and say I'm the fun side of HR. It's funny enough, I actually got my start in higher ed in the advising and more specifically the first year program side of things. So a piece of my heart still lives over there. This is exhilarating for me to be able to help them with and get launched here on campus. I know that a lot of institutions use different things depending on how things are set up there. But for us, this is Blaze View and D2L. And so once our coaches were identified, we were able to load them into what we call Blaze View. So Rob, if you will drive on over, he's my driver today. This seems to go a lot more smoothly when he is driving and I'm talking. So this is what our home screen looks like. And again, they'll have a multitude of classes in there depending on what their role is here on campus. But if you look up in the icon that he is looking at, you're going to go down and it's called Student Concierge Training. And in this section, it kind of gets to, and Rob, I'm going to remind you, go on down and change your view as student. There you go. Beautiful. Now, I just want you all to be able to get the full end user experience because again, like most of you know, it does look different from the instructor view. I am not going to take credit for coining the term world changers. That was all Dr. Carr, and we just fully supported it. And it may sound cheesy, but right now we are that for these students, and they are that for these students. So from a training background, the more positively you can coach the coaches and really help them feel like they are making a difference in using some of those really positive language. We've found that it's kind of kept them motivated to be able to take this on, because I will tell you that some of these concierge coaches have very little, not very tech savvy, we'll put it that way. And we'll talk about some of those challenges here a little later on and some things for you to look out for should you decide to implement something like this on your campus. All right, so from here, you'll see in the content browser, we really want them to do the start here. So once you click the start here, we have embedded The video from the WebExes that we did a series of 3 now WebExes to kind of get them started and welcome them to this process. And so we have embedded that there. They also have embedded some videos from Dr. Carr, from Rob, helping them remember what is a concierge coach, helping them remember that they are not the same as an academic advisor. They do not have to know the ins and outs of every single office here on campus. And again, they heard us say that. However, it's nice to be able to go in and read it again so that they do have some very, very clear roles. And again, that is one keynote that I will tell you, making sure that their roles are very clearly defined. And again, giving it in more than one medium. So don't just write it, also say it, that kind of thing. I always tell them, you know, my cheesy coin, let's go home. If you get lost, let's go home. So Rob, I'm gonna tell you to go home. Do you want to click on any of those to show them what the content is that you have? No, okay. After they go through the start here, we're gonna go to the framework for great customer service. I actually prefer the term service excellence. That's what we use within the university system of Georgia. It makes it sound like it's actually, it humanizes the term a little bit. So if you want to take that and run with it, please do. Service excellence is that term. So again, we wanted to give them a little snippet of what appreciative education is. So Rob has embedded some really good, a good intro into those disarm and the discover phases, which is really as far as we want them to go in this model. Once they go through the disarm, the discover, we're going to move into some basic service excellence pieces. And again, this is not, let's go home and read an article, or let's spend about 10 hours in here watching videos or looking at a job aid, or lots of things to read. We've really condensed down some of this information to turn it into some really good infographics, things that are easy to pull up, or if they want to print it out and put it in their workspace, things like that. And I think you're, yeah, gonna pull that up now. There's one of them. We are blazers here on campus. So if you go back into that service excellence, we talk about taking the heat off of some of our students. And so again, I'm happy to share any of this content with anyone who may want it. So if you'll pull up, yeah, show the take the heat. And again, puns are always welcome. We've got to keep a sense of humor. And so we really tried to take that on and keep that in mind as we walk through this as well. So again, easily readable, easily printable if they want to. Just some good reminders. I use the term duh statement a lot with my undergrads. It's things that we already know, but we kind of tend to forget about it if we don't have to use them all the time. So these things are those tips, just, you know, things that you need to remember to do, especially when you are in that disarming phase with our students. All right, going back to course home and going back to the content, after we give them some of the service excellence pieces, we also had some questions and some concerns like, I don't even know how to talk to a student. You know, I work in, I'm an accountant, and I specifically chose this field so that I don't have to talk to people, kind of a thing. So we did have, you gotta be aware that you do have plenty of those who may be serving in this role. We wanna make it as seamless as possible. So Rob and his crew put together some basic scripts. And while some people will choose to use the scripts and some people will choose not to, we did put those in there for, you know, initiating the phone call, follow-up phone calls, connecting with whichever office it is that they're going to need assistance from, and then also some email verbiage. Rob, do you want to expand on those at all?
I don't think I have to expand on anything, but I am happy to share any of that. So if people are interested, you're going to get the PowerPoint that we have today, and that PowerPoint has our names and our VSU email addresses. So if some of this information is things you want to take a look at, let us know. We're happy to share our resources.
Okay, let's keep on hacking through. If you will, go ahead and go on home. We also plugged in some good additional resources. In the additional resources, the first thing that we decided that we needed, we said, you know what, we've got to have an FAQ because they are going to get it from everywhere. So we have the FAQ from some questions that we had already gotten from students, as well as predicting some things that they may hear, that they may commonly hear. What's an amazing connection to that is while we gave them a preset of these FAQs, we also created a discussion board. And that's what he's hovering over now, which is the common questions I'm hearing. So let's say they get off of the phone with a student, they hear a question, then they get off of the phone with another student, they've heard that same question now twice. Well, certainly they're not the only two people with that question. They can go in here and start a new thread, post that question, and then we can find that answer, and then from there pull that and edit that FAQ document. The FAQ document is something that we have told them is going to be ever changing and ever growing. And so that is putting some power back in their hands to be able to go out there and seek and find without having us have to do all of it as well. On top of that, Rob has plugged in that BSU Academic Advisor contact list. So because they are serving in that different role, that we don't expect them to be their advisors. That way they don't have to open another tab and search, go through the directory. We want all of this information to be one click away. We try as much as possible, especially on the training and development side, to keep within that 3-click rule to where people aren't hunting, because people tend to give up if they have to click too much. So academic advisor list. We have also created a student resource page for the COVID-19. I'm certain all of you probably have a version of this. But Rob, if you want to at least take them to, the thing is with our students, they're not as great about hunting and finding things like this. So we've made sure to tell our concierge coaches to point this out, because a lot of their questions and concerns are going to be that Student Affairs has done a beautiful job of putting this together for our students. And a lot of their questions can be addressed here. So we just want to make sure that they are highlighting, that our coaches are highlighting those things that already do exist. To kind of put those students at ease and get their questions answered. All right, going back to our Blazeview section. And again, in those additional resources, again, we're really just kind of following, hey, if they need this, they can go to this Blazeview section, it's 1 click away. The last thing that I will recommend is you'll see that there's a training acknowledgement in the middle, at the very end of all of this. It's literally 1 through 5. All the correct answers are yes. And we want them to at least sign off that they have gone through and explored all of this content that we've given them. It's a really nice kind of CYA on our side as well as their side. And again, it's really just a way to make sure that we have given them the training that they need, that they've gone in and looked at things and actually made the effort to acknowledge that they have. So aside from that, we want them to have everything done by today, considering they got thrown in here on Friday. Hopefully they've gone in and dug around. We can run reports in here to see what's been clicked on and what's not. Again, very similar likely to what you all already have on your campuses. But again, it was relatively easy to put together. Blazeview D2L is not too bad to work with. But again, that is the Blazeview section.
All right, well, thank you, Ashley. The next spot here is to take a look at what we've learned. And I do think Dr. Carr was 100% accurate. It has only been about 10 days, but it has felt like about a month and a half in terms of the workload and the lift to literally get this from idea conception to full launch. And we actually launched on Monday. And I think, you know, a couple of things that I think about in terms of lessons learned. Simple things like we used a Google Doc to enter in the people who are going to be concierge coaches. And we broke that down by the various locations on campus. And so we had a huge list from student affairs, from our athletics area, from finance and administration. And Dr. Carr may be able to talk a little bit more about it because they were in this space of it. But eventually what got to me was a list of all of the people who could be concierge, how many hours a week they could dedicate to it, which allowed us to make a decision on how many students to give to them. And so it was important for us to know, you know, are we talking about a GA who's got 5 hours to give, or are we talking about a graduate assistant who's got 20 hours? Is it a professional staff member that they've got a 40-hour-a-week job and literally their job does not remote to home, and so they have a full 40 hours, or do they only have about 5 or 10 hours of work that they have to give to us? So that Google Doc and using that to allow people to go in and put their people in to become coaches was really, really, really critical. And Dr. Carter, you want to say anything on that front and how you ended up getting people into that sheet and everything?
Sure, we can. So a lot of our administrations at the moment had said we're going to be under a soft stay-at-home order is kind of what we called it in our area. And we're trying to get as many people away from the university and be able to telework at home. Some jobs you just cannot do that for. And so we immediately decided we wanted to look at those. We want to keep people employed. We want to keep paychecks going. They have families to support just like we all do. And so we wanted to figure out a way to be able to do that. And so when athletics was canceled for the rest of the spring, immediately our athletic director is going, well, what are my guys going to be doing? What are the coaches? What are the GAs? What are my office staff going to be doing? We don't have anything to do. And suddenly we said, well, we've got this idea. How about? And then everybody sitting around the table said, well, I've got this person. I've got that person. So we've been able to keep everybody employed. And Rob's done an amazing job because he does have this group that says, well, I've got 5 hours to give. I've got 10. I've got 30, I've got all 40, and he's been going through and doing that. I noticed somebody said, well, how many students are assigned per coach? And Rob knows far better than I do than that. I did the easy part with the athletics just because I'm directly connected to a lot of our teams. And so mine was very easy. Rob had a long weekend of assigning, so he can probably answer about how many he's got assigned to who, but that's kind of how we ended up with, yes, they are paid. Most of them are paid out of somebody else's budget, and we're just trying to keep them employed.
Yep. So the number is anywhere from 10 on the low end up to 30 on the high end. So anywhere from 10 to 30 students. And we made a decision fairly early in the game that we were only going to use graduate assistants and professional staff. There was some question about whether to use student staff who were working on campus to give them an option to continue to earn dollars during this time. Thankfully, we've really been able to rely on housing and on our admissions teams to hire a decent amount of our student worker staff that can't work remote. So we've kept this as a graduate assistantship position and as a professional staff that didn't have that ability to work remotely. I will say one of the other unique things, and this is a lesson learned, something came out, but it came out pretty late. And it was from our College of Education and Human Services. They had grad students who had to do a certain amount of student hours to be able to progress and go on to the next semester and for certification and different things like that. And today is Wednesday, so it was, I think, over the weekend that I started working with Dr. Cunningham from our College of Ed and Human Services, and we added in 16 concierge coaches that are in graduate programs requiring student interaction, and they're going to be able to utilize this concierge coaching model for those students to get those hours for this semester. So as a way for us to also help students in that program that were graduate and needed some students because the schools have closed down. So that was kind of a lesson learned too. I think if we did this again, we may be a little more strategic and think of that a little bit earlier, but that one just came as an email out of the blue to me. It wasn't a thought that I had, but has worked really well. The other thing, and Ashley said it in terms of lessons learned, we have learned really quickly who is comfortable with the technology and who is not comfortable with the technology. They're both laughing. It's been really interesting, and we've been very patient, I think, for the most part. But what's been interesting, and again, this is a communication lesson for us to learn. We've had coaches emailing us and saying, I can't find my students, I can't find my students, I can't find my students. And they're in BlazeView where we're doing the training instead of in the portal where the students exist. So Ashley, I know you've had some other instances. Anything else you want to share on the tech part or lessons learned?
It's really just one of those situations. And again, I'm used to dealing with it. We are over here in our office, as you can imagine, we also work with compliance. And so at least once a year, everybody has to touch a piece of technology. And so we're used to kind of triaging that. over here. The best thing that we could come up with again is giving them some job aids with screenshots, not just videos, because some people don't want to sit and watch a video. They just want something they can look at and refer to. And again, there are people who do want to print things off. And so we did give them a job aid that enables them to learn how to navigate and get to BlazeView for those who are not used to doing that. So I highly, highly recommend giving a job aid and things like that, and kind of giving, aiding all kinds of learning, not just those who want to watch videos and not just those who want to read, but also really just doing a mixed medium of that. And put on your patient pants. And, if you feel like you're having one of those days that you cannot video chat because you cannot control your face, don't do it. So pick up the phone and call them instead, or shoot them an email. But a lot of times it is going to be easier to talk them through it over the phone or over a video chat if you can share your screen. And so don't be afraid to do that, and really hold their hand as much as you can, and love on them, because they mean well. It's just that, again, some people don't have a regular position where they have to use technology all the time. And so just, create things with that in mind.
And I'll say one of the things that's been really encouraging for us is when we first started to roll this out, there was a little bit of uncertainty, I guess is the nice way to say it. A lot of concern, a lot of, oh my God, if I call, are they going to dial tone me, or what's going to happen? But as we've gotten into this week, I can't tell you how many coaches, I mean, I'm well above probably a dozen to 15 that have gotten in touch with me and said, hey, I just wanted to touch base, let you know I've reached out to my students. And almost without fail, the next comment is, it was so much better and so much easier than I thought it was going to be. Our students are so thankful that somebody at the university is reaching out and connecting via phone just to check in on them. And it's been great to see what was initially a little bit of a concern, a little bit of, is anybody going to do anything with this, change over to, hey, thanks for checking in on me in this season. And then being able to have those coaches feel comfortable based on the training we developed to know what resources to get them to. And so I'm sure on your campuses, it's probably similar, but one of our most common issues has been related to technology and access for internet and computing and different things. I will say our information technology area, we have a new media center. They have just done an amazing job. I think at this point we have shipped out like over 250 MiFi devices. We've shipped out computers and laptops. Our VSU Foundation has come on board with a technology grant to help us purchase even more to get that information or to get those materials and resources over to students. We also shared recently a link of publicly available Wi-Fi spots. And I think we've got people driving to Starbucks and McDonald's and libraries that are closed, but they're pulling off of the Wi-Fi to do some of their work and different things. It's been a total team effort. I think that's the other thing we've learned. VSU, besides being sunny and 70 at some point during the day, has done a really good job of knocking down silos over the at least 2+ years that I've been here. It's been really fun to see this university mobilize, and it was very transparent in what we did here because we had very good response from all of the different areas that we needed to come on board. And 290 people on our campus is, I don't know, maybe Dr. Carr knows this number, but it's got to be at least a third of our working population, I would think, or maybe a quarter of our working population that in some form or fashion are being impacted through this coaching concierge model. And everybody was on board, and IT was on board, and human resources and student success. I mean, it's really taken the entire campus to be able to make this happen. All right, do we want to go to questions?
Yes, thank you so much. Before we get to questions, I just want to raise participants' awareness to, I'm going to be posting a link to a post assessment in the chat box. If you would take a couple minutes and just click that link, fill it into your browser and fill it out, that'd be perfect. That way we can better ourselves for our next webinar and get feedback. So one of the questions that we got today was, so your concierge coaches are academic advisors. That was towards the beginning. So if you could just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, the concierge coaches are not academic advisors. I think that probably became more clear as we went through. We have people from all over campus involved, graduate assistant and professional staff. We've got folks on legal counsel that are doing this. So some student has our top legal affairs individual as his coach. Somebody has the head football coach as his, and not an athlete, because our head football coach took about 10 or 15 non-athletes. So they're getting a call from our head football guy. Human resources, financial aid, all over the place. We have a bunch of people doing it, but we actually do not have any of our academic advisors listed as concierge coaches because they're very busy doing registration. And so we launched registration for fall semester on Monday. So we launched concierge coaching and registration on Monday. And we did also just decide to do online orientation for all of our summer experience here. So all three of those fall under my purview. So it's been a very interesting and fun week.
So another question that we got was, what type of workload has been created for the concierge coaches, in that we know that they may have other responsibilities, but how has this workload impacted them?
Ashley, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, I can take a stab at it. In terms of workload, when Rob started reaching out to all of those different units to see, who needed to be involved and who could be involved, they kind of asked, how much of their regular work can be done remotely. And for some people, it was about half. For some people, it was only about 10 hours a week's worth. And then for the people who, kind of like me, my world was flipped upside down because now I'm facilitating trainings online instead of in person. But if I'm not in a training, I can sit on a beach and develop content and do what I need to do, But again, for those on campus who can't, it ended up becoming a percentage thing. So we broke that down into hours. And so when it came to, let's use the example of about half their work to be done remotely. So we've got them for 20 hours. They'll have a smaller load of students than somebody who has 40 hours a week where they can't do any of their job remotely. So that's how they went and determined size. And again, this really was an approach to where it's like, we got to keep them paid. And so I think from that standpoint, our concierge coaches were more willing to learn and a little more excited about it because they weren't having to, take any leave or going unpaid and things like that. So really this was a help them and help the students kind of a thing. It was kind of I don't really like the term win-win, but it really kind of is. So, but yeah, just know that you will have to adjust the student size depending on how many hours that employee can dedicate to this concierge training.
And I'm going to piggyback onto that real quick, Brian, too. Because the pay thing has come up a couple of times in the questions. And Dr. Carr, I want, once I'm done, if you can address if the pay thing was an issue when you guys first rolled it out. But what is happening is whoever was paying them before is still paying them. And whoever they were reporting to, they're still reporting to. But we're able to pull information in to see who's doing work. So if I had a supervisor who's like, I need to double check on this one because they haven't been my highest performing employee, and I do see them on the Florida beaches, even though those Florida beaches are closed. So can you double check and make sure that they're actually doing some work? We could do that. But ultimately that person is reporting to the same supervisor, drawing the same salary they had before. But Dr. Carr, was this any kind of an issue when you first launched it in terms of pay and who would pay or anything like that?
It really wasn't. While we were sitting in the room with the whole cabinet, it really became the question of, I have people that are available. And it was truly amazing to me to see. It's just a great example of who we are as a university. Nobody said, well, I got to have my person to do this, this, and this. Everybody immediately said, we're 100% in. Tell us what we can do to help. And who's going to pay what, and are you going to reimburse my area? Or none of that ever came up at our cabinet level. In fact, our advancement office was one of the first offices to jump on board, and their folks were calling people about technology before we just mentioned, well, we might want to reach out to them. If you'll send me a list, we'll start calling. And they had it done in a day. So it's just, everybody just kind of rallied around. I'm sure if that question would have come up, we would have addressed it and we would have just said, it's coming out of your budget. You're going to keep paying them what you're paying them. And we just got to adjust for 5 weeks because that's what we had left in the term.
Yeah, you mentioned something that I didn't bring up that I do think would be useful. One of the things we did right off the get-go, and it did come out of this area, was we did a text outreach campaign. And that allowed us to get a little bit of a gauge on who was highest risk versus medium risk versus low risk. So we sent out a text campaign that essentially asked them, do you have reliable access to internet and a computer or iPad? And if they said no, the next question was, do you live in Valdosta? Because if they lived in Valdosta, our library is still open for computing needs. If they said, no, I don't live in Valdosta, that became a high-risk group. They did not have access to computing and internet, and they weren't in our area for us to be able to provide support. So they were one of the groups who became what we call a high-risk flag. The other group that became a high-risk flag was they did have internet and they did have access to a computer, but in the text outreach, we built in a question that asked them, all right, it's great that you have internet access and a computer. How are you feeling about the move to online learning? Number 1 was great. I've done it before. I feel like I'm going to be fine. 2 is okay. I feel like I'm going to be able to learn it. 3 was, if I'm honest, I'm absolutely terrified. And so interestingly enough, we had 509 students report to us that they had access to internet and a computer, but they were absolutely terrified to move online. And so we've been able to work a couple of those lists. So the 509, the actually I'm absolutely terrified group, was filtered immediately to the advising centers, but it was also where we gave the graduate students who are in school counseling, we assigned that group to that group because they actually had some skill sets to handle them a little bit better than what some of our other folks would. And then that first, I don't have access to technology and I don't have access to a computer and I don't live in Valdosta. We funneled that list over to IT and student affairs. And then that was the group that, advancement called out to and did a double check and said, hey, we saw you took part in this text campaign. You responded this way. We want to reach out and see, is it the internet or is it a computer or what is it? And they had a report, and like Dr. Carr said, I'm pretty sure they had that thing done in about 24 hours. They've been major rock stars in this. And then the other group who is on it like crazy is the athletics group. I think they're just used to the recruiting and calling and always being on the phone, and that combo between advancement and athletics have been just going after it, which has been fun to see.
So Rob, you mentioned earlier in the webinar that you have 2 training videos in there in the disarm and discover phases. Would you be able to expand on that and how you disarm students virtually?
Sure. So I'll hit a couple of things. So one of the things we decided to use is a newer software program called Loom, L-O-O-M. Dr. Carr, I'm surprised, hasn't chimed in on this yet, but we had a moment talking about narrated PowerPoints and how everybody loves narrated PowerPoints. And but this company, Loom, has done a really nice job with being able to do an introductory PowerPoint and have it capture video. And so what I actually did was an overview of appreciative education. So I just did a really quick, hey, this is what appreciative education is. This is how we have used it in academic advising. And for those of you trying to kind of get a background or a framework to do this, here's something just very foundational. And then I did another video on disarm and how you can go about disarming students, and same thing with discover. A good friend of mine, Ben Forshee, did a pop-up video, I think it was a week ago, and he had some great discover questions. So I use the CASE method, C-A-S-E method, copy and steal everything. I used that from Ben's, and we used those discover questions and just loaded those in because they were very specific to kind of discover questions during the COVID season we've got here. And then those scripts that we gave as examples, we just used some of the kind of disarming language in those scripts. And then when they're calling, really kind of having that conversation when we train them of, listen, everybody knows your emotions are heightened. How all the feels are just so much stronger right now. And so when you call out to a student, you may get somebody who is not very happy. or just very stressed. And so our first job is to work on getting them disarmed and talking to them about, I'm just glad you feel comfortable sharing that with me. My role is to try to make sure that by the end of this conversation, you're feeling better and that resources are going to be connected to you to be able to be successful. So we just kind of spent some time in training talking about that. Some of the scripts cover some of it. But as I think people on this conversation know, there are 6-week online courses for appreciative advising and 6-week online courses for appreciative administration and a full-on institute that you can take part in. So we didn't want to fire hose them and have them have all of this feeling like they have way too much to do. So we just did kind of a light touch on what appreciative advising has been, appreciative education looks like. And then when concierge coaches are reaching out to me, oftentimes it's because they've had a little bit of a struggle and they're going, hey, I called out and I don't think I handled it very well. And then we kind of mock back and forth on some ways that they may have been able to handle it differently or some different phrasing that they may have been able to use.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then I'm just going to share this out with the group. We will share the questions from Ben's webinar that we had 2 weeks ago with everyone that RSVP'd. And then again, I'm sending out the link to the post assessment. If you could just take a couple minutes while we're wrapping up to fill out that post assessment so we can get some amazing feedback from y'all to better our webinars for the future. Another question we had is, after this first period where you were trying to reach all the students, what do you anticipate the pattern for future outreach to be? Example, like every 2 weeks, responding to students when they initiate, etc.
So if you noticed in the portal, there was a flag option and the concierge could change the flag from high, medium to low. And so one of the things that we've been talking about is if you have a conversation with a student on Monday and that student is really heightened, you're concerned, you've mobilized resources, you may want to mark that person as a high risk or a high flag, and maybe come back to them the next day and just say, hey, I know we chatted yesterday. I just want to touch in and see if there's anything else that you may need from me. And so you've got that end of the spectrum versus you make a first phone call out and they go, I'm great. This is fine. It's a piece of cake. I've got it. I'm doing well. I've got everything I need. And you don't need to call me. I'm fine. You got that end of it. And what we've said is go ahead and mark that one as a low, but because of how things are changing, they're going to reach out a week later. So the goal is they reach out at least once a week. But if you've got that student on the low end who says, hey, I'm great, everything's completely fine, the next time we call out, we're just going to say, hey, this is Rob. I'm your concierge coach at VSU. We chatted a week ago. Everything was awesome. I just wanted to check back in and see if there's anything else you needed and just to make sure everything is still going really well. And given the season that we're in, it's possible that it was awesome a week ago and now we've got some opportunities to help the student.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So going forward, if you would like to be added to our Office of Appreciative Education listserv and receive emails from us about upcoming opportunities, ways to engage, please send us an email at oae@fau.edu, and then we can go ahead and add you to that listserv so you can stay up to date with all of our offerings. I don't have any more questions here. I think we touched base on anything else. Rob, do you have any tips, tricks, things that you've learned throughout this process? Same with you, Ashley, that you would like to share out to the group?
Yeah, I did see two more questions. I'm going to answer those real quick. So
Okay.
the text company we utilize is called AdmitHub. You also have that option via Rave, and I'm drawing a blank. There's another one, but AdmitHub and Rave are two of the options in terms of the text outreach campaigns. We've had a lot of success with those. We've been using those in advising for a little over a year and have been very happy with how that has worked. There was also a question about calling. We worked with our IT again on this one. We have something called Cisco Jabber on our campus, and the way that works is you can actually download Cisco Jabber to your laptop or to your cell phone and connect it to your work number. And then when you're calling through Cisco Jabber, it actually shows up as your office phone number and not your cell phone number. And then for those that don't have their own VSU phone number because maybe they're a GA and they share a phone line with like 4 other people, we're just having them use cell phones and do *67. So it's kind of like when you had that crush on that person back in high school, but you didn't want them to know what your phone number was, little *67. And it comes up as an unknown phone number. So that's the solutions there. But Ashley and Dr. Carr, anything you guys want to end on?
The last thing I did see, can they have access to the Blaze View section? And I'm good with it. Rob, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Are you good with people seeing and exploring?
Well, I wonder maybe if we can make a duplicate course.
We can probably, yeah. Well, we can work with our e-learning and make a duplicate course to add y'all in. But I'm about to hit enter on. If you're wanting access to that, just go ahead and shoot me an email, and we will have to we'll have to route you a different way since it's not an internal system. But the answer is yes. We're just going to have to do it a different way.
What I'm willing to do is when you all have that available, I can send it out to everybody who registered for this webinar so that people can have access to it.
Great. Well, let's, it is 1:01, and I want to be conscious of everybody's time. First of all, let's give a little round of applause to Rob and his colleagues, Ashley and Dr. Carr. Thank you for making time to share the great work that you're doing. I love that, you know, it does, I've always said it takes a village to graduate a student, and I love how you're using the entire institution to, you know, to show students that you care. So thank you very much. Everybody, please be safe. We are going to be having additional webinars coming up. The next one is going to be with Michael Barocchia, who's going to be talking about some of the great things they're doing at Utah State University right now. So be on the lookout on your email. We're also on Facebook, and we'll be posting announcements at Facebook and Twitter. So thank you, everyone. Be safe. Take care.